fastest show in sports.
Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. 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 Holy sweet mother of Mary Banana, am I so happy that this is over. I mean, this has been running things in sports at every sports outlet for the last couple of months or so here. I mean, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. The stranglehold that this has placed on college football and the general news cycle itself is astounding. I haven't seen anything like this in decades of covering college football. I'm glad it's over. But it's not. This is really just the beginning. What Lane Kiffin, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, everybody higgledy-piggledy is involved in here, it's really just the starting point of where we're going in college football right now. You would hope that this would be the end of it. We'd never have to hear it again. Lane Kiffin will go to LSU. He'll do whatever he's going to do there. Ole Miss will move on. Gators will move on, and everything will be happy. No. Stop right there. This is truly a watershed moment in college athletics. It's not like everything's going to change from here on out, because everything has already changed. But what it's giving us is that deep dish look into what college football has now become, what it will be from this moment forward for the rest of recorded time. At least for the rest of the time I'm here, and I'm hoping I'm never going to have to do an entire 2-3 months on Lane Kiffin ever again. But it's where we are. College football is the greediest, most money-hungry, most profitable, most filled with sharks and egotists and egomaniacs out of any sport anywhere. And it's what we've made it. The college football fan has demanded this. You have demanded that the players get paid. You have, because you want your players to stick around. And you want your teams to be able to get the great players and not have to sit around just waiting and recruiting. You're the reason why coaches make $15, $20, $30 billion a year. Because you want a winner, you got to have a winner. Oh my God, we got to have a winner more than anything else. If we don't have a winner, I'm going to go ahead and leave. My God, oh my goodness, we've only won 9 games. We got to win 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You've made it such. And it's not ever going away. Ever again. This is the reality. First, let's deal with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is just like every other coach, really. Well, that's not fair to say. Lane Kiffin is a coach in his own little bubble, but there's a few others that are really like him. He's a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. He's a liar without question. He's greedy. He doesn't give one shit in Shinola about any player, anywhere, anytime. As the head coach of what is basically a semi-pro football team, he doesn't give a damn about the players. He doesn't consider them. Education? What does he care? Just play the game. And as a matter of fact, Lane Kiffin is another one of the current breed of coaches that doesn't even know probably who half his players are. What do you think they bring in all these assistants for now? These are the guys who take care of things. It's not the head coach. Yeah, he rubber stamps things every now and then. But it's not like Lane Kiffin sits there like every other coach, or any other coach for that matter, and says, we're going to do this, we're going to play this, we're going to do this, our defense is going to be this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. No, that's what they hire coaches for. That's what they hire assistant coaches for. He's a lout. He's a cur. He's just the kind of individual that deserves no respect whatsoever. But he's wanted. He's wanted because he has that aura of winning. And look, when you look at Kiffin's record overall, It's not anything that you go, oh boy, this is a future college football Hall of Famer. This is a guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. I mean, if you look at it, he bombed out with the Oakland Raiders. He was terrible there. He was 4-12 in one season, and even Al Davis said he was a liar. And then he goes to Tennessee. One season. What does he do in Tennessee? Oh, he really cares about the players in the program there. 7-6 in one season, and he's out the door. Then he moves on again. Now he goes to USC. Now here's a program where they really expect a lot, but they're not going to get a lot because USC has not been a great program for quite some time. He goes there for 4 seasons. He goes 28-15, and he gets fired at Los Angeles International Airport. He gets fired in a room there. Basically, they had enough. So then he pulls a stunt. He goes to Alabama. He says, I'm going to review your offense for a year. So he's basically an assistant coach. He's hired to come in. He's trying to burnish up his reputation. All right? He failed in Oakland. He left Tennessee. All the good he did there for all the players, right? He left USC. He was fired there because he couldn't win the big games. Remember that. Remember that phrase, couldn't win the big games. Okay, we'll get to that as well. He goes to Alabama. And while he's at Alabama, while he's still working there, he takes the job at Florida Atlantic University. And then he has the balls to go to USC and say, well, I'd like to stick around during the postseason here, and I'd like to... No, you took another job. You're not going to stay here. You're not going to poach. You're not going to take coaches with you or players with you. You're employed by somebody else. So he goes to FAU. Remember that whole thing about shaking it down and trying to go back again. We'll deal with that as well. So he goes to FAU, 3 seasons, takes a program that was absolutely nowhere. I mean, Howard Schnellenberger was the guy who started that program, and they were a nice, tidy, soft little program, but they wanted to grow. They got to grow because they want to make the money like everybody else. So they needed somebody to come in who would have some kind of a name value, who would at least come in and make them respectable. Kiffin comes in and does that. He goes 26-13. He puts them in bowl years. He actually comes out and does the right thing. Yeah, they're minor bowls, but he gets them to succeed. And he's got a 10-year deal. After everything happens, he gets 10 years. And he says, I'm staying here. I'm not going. Bullshit. As soon as Lane Kiffin said, I'm never going to go anyplace else, or I'm never going to look anyplace else, I turned to a friend of mine. I said, you give him 3 years, he's gone. And I was right. 3 years, he's gone. He goes to Ole Miss. Now, let's slow down a little on Ole Miss, okay? The people at Ole Miss are not going to want to hear this. But if you are truly an Ole Miss fan, supporter, backer, booster, whatever it is, you're going to agree with me. You're going to have to agree with me. You can't say I'm wrong. Because until Lane Kiffin got there, Ole Miss was a doormat program. It was that program in the SEC that other schools like the Floridas and the Georgias and the LSUs couldn't wait to get on their schedule because they knew it was a gimme. Yeah, the coaches are always going to say they're going to do good, they're going to do great, they're going to be a good team. Nonsense. This was a school and a football program that was looked down upon by every single person in the SEC because they were always hanging around the bottom, doing a little bottom feeding there. So you weren't that good. You weren't. But that's not to say that you didn't become good. You didn't become something. And a good part of it was Kiffin. Not only that, but a good part of it was the transfer portal, NIL, so many other things that allow you to bring in really good players. And when you've got players getting better across the country, if they can't get to Florida, they can't get to LSU, can't get to Georgia, can't go someplace else in the SEC, they go to Ole Miss. They got Kiffin, who's got a name. So Kiffin comes in and makes you a winner. 3-2 in bowl games. 55-19 record. Holy spit in the morning. Ole Miss became respectable and became good. So don't tell me that you owe something to this guy. You do. 11-1 this year. Ole Miss is on the doorstep of contending for a national championship. Think about that. That doesn't even sound right. Coming out of my mouth, being somebody who's been around college athletics for 4 decades. That does not sound right to me, that Ole Miss has a chance to win a national championship. But it's great. It's marvelous. It's wonderful. We applaud you. We want you to get that chance. And you've got it. But here comes Kiffin again. Few seasons there, I got happy feet. Because he's greedy. He's greedy. He's one of the greediest sons of bitches that ever crossed the paths in college football. And meantime, he's got all of his buddies at ESPN and all of his enablers saying, oh, give him a chance. Lane Kiffin's really a nice guy. I met Lane Kiffin, and he's really a good guy. You know why? I shook his hand, and all 5 fingers came back. He is a guy who doesn't give a shit about anybody save for Lane Kiffin. That's it. End of story. Ole Miss, let's just talk for a minute, okay? Lane doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anything that goes on at Oxford. He doesn't care. He honestly doesn't care if you win or lose this potential national championship. Doesn't care. Doesn't care if you had a chance at the SEC title. College football playoff? He doesn't care. And here's a note to every single one of you players on Ole Miss, all right? And I want you to write this down. Put it on the inside of your eyelids so you never forget to see it. Lane Kiffin doesn't care about you. He doesn't care whether you win or lose. He doesn't care if you succeed. He doesn't care if you go to the NFL. So I've got people now saying, oh, look out. Players from Ole Miss are going to be following him to LSU. Why? He basically left you in a lurch. He doesn't care. He split before the championship, before the playoff. Not even one game. You know why? Because LSU dangled the money. Could LSU have waited? Likely. What are they going to do? I mean, if they really wanted him, they'd wait. They'd give him a chance to maybe win a national championship. But you see, that would kick up his price, and they'd have to pay more for him. So they wanted him now, so they get him for a price. A fat price, if you will. But Lane doesn't care about you, Ole Miss. He never did. He never cared about Tennessee. He never cared about USC. Never cared about Alabama. Never cared about FAU. All he cared about was himself and getting his money, which he has. Lane Kiffin is a multi-millionaire, like so many of his fellow coaches. He doesn't need the money, but they want it. They'll take it because it's greedy. It's there, baby. I'm going to take it and feed my family. What, you can't feed your family on $1 million? What the hell's wrong with you? How much money do you need? As much as he can get, damn it. And if LSU's sitting there and they're going to cough it up, he'll take it. And that's exactly what he did. He used Ole Miss. He made himself powerful. He made himself worth $10, $12, $17 million. And you guys, goodbye. And now, I really hope that Ole Miss gets into the college football playoff. I hope they beat the absolute snot out of anybody that they play, although it looks like they may get Ohio State. But it doesn't make a difference to me. I'm rooting for Ole Miss. Big time. I'm rooting for Ole Miss to get in there and just get a shot. It would be such beautiful poetic justice if at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin goes to LSU and Ole Miss goes on to contend for a national championship. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I do not think you'll see Ole Miss in a national championship game. There's other teams out there that are better, more powerful, better players. But anything can happen. But imagine, if you will, for just a moment, how beautiful the irony would be if they do go ahead and move on without this slug who doesn't give a crap about the program, the players, the fans, anybody, just to win the championship. Magnificent. But let's then dig into something else. Why should we expect Lane Kiffin or anybody else to care about the school, the players, the town, the city, the fans? Why? This comes down again to this ridiculous, absolutely foolish notion of loyalty. People going, Lane Kiffin didn't show us any loyalty at Ole Miss. Well, he sure as hell didn't show any loyalty for Tennessee. He sure didn't do it for FAU. He sure didn't do it at other places he's been. So what in the name of Sweet Megillah makes you think that he would be all of a sudden righteous now? And he would care. I care about the players. What are you, nuts? Are you sick? No, I'm not going to say it. I almost said it. And I think some of you know where I was going with this. But I'm not going to say it because it echoes him, and I'm not going to do that. But there is no loyalty anymore. Because, look, the colleges aren't loyal. I mean, if you want to, look what Tennessee did. Look what USC did. Look what all these other places did. Look what USC did when they fired him. They didn't even let him go back to the college. I mean, universities and college programs fire coaches at will. I've said it before. 3 seasons and you better be good or you're out. And they don't care. They'll just go ahead and fire you. They'll get you out of the way because all they care about is the winning and the money, and if you can't do it, you're out. They're not loyal. Why should anybody else be loyal? And why should players be loyal to a program? They get paid. They're getting money now. If the school can't cough up the cash, and if they can't give them assistant coaches and coaches in a program that will help lead them to more money, more sponsorship money, and a chance at the NFL, which everybody thinks they're going to get, but they're not, why should they be loyal? Move on. And they're doing it right now. There is no loyalty in college football. Stop the bullshit, please. Stop with that. It doesn't exist. And it doesn't exist because in many ways the fans have demanded it. You, the fans, you've demanded your team wins. I don't give a damn what happens, win at any cost. Do I want to be respected? No, I want to win. I want a title. I want a bowl game. I want a trophy. I want a championship. You asked for it and now you're getting it because the colleges are going to give it to you. The boosters are out there. They're just like you. They're fans, but they've got hundreds and millions of dollars that they can spend and they can make a program better. So that's what they're going to do. And they do it all the time. And you're happy. Hey, we're contending now. Coach A, Coach B, player A, get them out. You don't need them because we're going to get better players and we're going to spend more money and we're going to win the championship. You did it. And the press did it as well. All this media coverage, all this hype, all getting in bed, shoveling the money at them so everybody can make a big fat profit. It's all just the way it churns. This is college football today. This is what the sport has become. It is not going back. There is no loyalty. There is no thought about doing the right thing anymore. Yeah, there is at the smaller schools. There is. But at the bigger schools, the power schools, those in the top 30, no. The coaches will move on if they can. They'll take a better job to win. The players will move on if they can because they want to win a championship and they'll make more money. And the schools will continue to hire and fire willy-nilly because you, the fan, demand it, the sponsors demand it, the boosters demand it, the presidents demand it, the athletic directors demand it, the alma mater demands it, everybody demands it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you a winner. And if you got to fire somebody for it, we don't care. Look at that. Lane Kiffin says to schools and players, I don't care. He says to Ole Miss, I don't care. Other schools say, I don't care. It's just the way the sport is going these days, and you got to get used to it. Now, let's briefly deal with 2 other schools, okay, while we're here. Let's deal with 2. First of all, LSU. LSU pushed this, but then again, they're like everybody else. Well, sort of. They are the 1A dumpster fire right now in college football, without a doubt. When you have the governor getting involved, when you try and short shrift the coach that you promised you'd pay him X amount of dollars on his buyout, and then you try to get out of it because you were trying to save $1. You reneged on your deal, and that's the kind of guy you want to play for? I'm not sure that's the kind of place I want to be at. But look, hey, LSU fans, you got what you wanted. You got what you demanded. You didn't want Brian Kelly, so now you got Lane Kiffin. Is he going to win you a national championship? I don't know. Neither do you. Neither does he. Look, he's starting in an organization right now that's got a lot of internal problems. But come on, look what he did with Ole Miss. If he can do to LSU the level of what he did with Ole Miss, getting a lot less at the beginning, LSU is going to be a powerhouse for maybe a long time to come. That is, unless he falters in the SEC. If he doesn't beat the Gators, if he doesn't beat Georgia, if he doesn't contend for the SEC championship, if he doesn't get in there, if he doesn't try to, and if he's not part of the college football playoff, they're going to wipe their hands and they're going to get rid of Lane Kiffin. 3 seasons? Maybe 4? Maybe 5 if he's really lucky. But at LSU, you got to realize something here. You're dealing with an athletic program right now that is the most irresponsible when it comes to college football of any of the big-time programs. And I can prove it. You know why? All I have to do is go to the ledger. LSU has paid $43 million to coaches. That's buyout money. That's all that is. That's buying them out of their contracts after they hired them as the next best thing since sliced toast and then fired them because they sucked and didn't win enough games. $43 million. It doesn't make a difference where that money comes from. Could that money be doing good someplace else within the athletic program? Hell yeah. But oh, no. We got to give it to football now. $43 million. And that's not counting, if you will, people are all up in arms now, some, because they're thinking, well, LSU, State University, where's all that money coming from? LSU states it all comes, it's all self-generating revenue. It's all from the boosters. None of it comes from taxpayers. Oh, bullshit. I want to see it. And the people of Louisiana should demand to see it as well. Make sure that not one single dime, not one dime of taxpayer money is going into that athletic program, is going into Lane Kiffin's pocket. You need to demand it. Louisiana is one of the, if not the worst state in America to live. Cost of living, type of living, the way people live there, the money made, it's terrible. Go look at the numbers. We did that on the show about a month ago where we showed the numbers. Louisiana is either 48th, 49th, or 50th among the United States in all of these different areas. Education, lifestyle, ability to make money. So Louisiana is not the place you want to live. Yeah, there are big money boosters there. There are millionaires there like everybody else. But the common person in Louisiana has little. And the government is the problem there. And the government is part of the problem, maybe when it comes down to LSU and the money. I want to see the money. And you should want to see the money. To make sure that all that taxpayer money is not going into the pockets of a guy just because he knows how to hire the right assistant coaches and bring in the right players who want to make a ton of money. So LSU, look, I'm not denigrating. If you win, go ahead. Yes, I'm going to admit, I said many times that I didn't think LSU was the program that Lane Kiffin should go to if he wants to win a national championship. I said it. I own up to it. But look, this is what you got. I wish you luck, because with a guy like Kiffin, who will leave on a dime's notice, although maybe now he's found the pot of gold, the biggest pot he'll ever get, good luck. You're going to need it. And now let's talk about Florida. My friends at the Florida Gators, you've been suckered. You've been had. You really have. You've been used and abused. But then again, you set it up yourself. The reason Florida sits here in a lurch, where Ole Miss automatically has a new head coach, one of their assistants that they bring in and they're comfortable with, where LSU has a new coach, where schools are now starting to clean out and other coaches are going someplace else. And in many minds, you didn't get the best coach available. You got one, regardless. You did it to yourself. The Florida Gators program is a proud, excellent athletic program. I can sit here as a commentator. I have no axe to grind against them. I didn't go to the University of Florida. I have a lot of friends who did. But you have to admit that if you look at Florida from an outsider's perspective, you have to say that they are one of the best athletic programs in the collegiate country, without a doubt. They got a national championship in men's basketball. That's pretty damn difficult to do. And if you look down the line, and I don't have the number sitting in front of me, Florida's got a lot of national championships and a lot of conference championships in many other sports. They are an excellent athletic program with 4 coaches that have failed. A line of 4 coaches that they all brought in, and every single coach was the guy. Every single one was the savior. Every single one was the guy who was going to turn this program around and bring us back to the glory days of Steve Spurrier. The ball coach would be happy. Hell, most times when they hired one of these 4 coaches, the ball coach himself even came in and said, good hire. I like that. Yeah, and by the way, if you go to Florida, you have to get his blessing. I mean, that's all part of it. But again, you're run by the boosters. These people with tremendous amounts of money, they're the ones who say, this is a good coach, hire him. You better hire him or else I'm going to pull my money. If you don't hire X, if you don't hire Y, my money's out of here. So if you think the athletic director and the school president and anybody else really has the say, you're wrong. And it's not just at Florida, it's everywhere in the big money programs. And these are the people who make the decisions. The guys and the gals with the money make the decisions. And they've made the decision on the last 4 coaches who have not been the coach. I mean, they've had some disasters. So you've got coaches now, and John Sumrall is going to look and he figures, okay, I can make it here. He gets a nice boost, comes up from Tulane, goes to a much bigger athletic program. But still in the back of his mind, he's got to be a little bit concerned because they made all the wrong choices 4 times before. I'm hoping I'm the right choice, and I'm hoping they'll give me a chance. See, that's what he needs. He needs a chance. He doesn't need 3 seasons. You got to give him 4 or 5 seasons. And fans, you Gator fans, you got to give him those seasons. You got to understand that now he's got to clean up the mess that's been left behind. And the mess is not all Billy Napier's. A lot of it goes to Scott Strickland and the athletic department themselves. Should Strickland be fired? That's what everybody's screaming right now because you don't like his hiring of a coach this time because he didn't get Lane Kiffin. Stop! Kiffin is not God. He is not a deity. He might not have been the best coach. Maybe what you got right now is the best coach. So Gator fans, back off. Give the guy a chance, will you? And understand that a lot of these decisions are out of your hands. What happens from here on out is undoubtedly going to be the next step in fan discontent. It happens everywhere. It happens every time. Gator fans have been discontented now for over a decade. Well, think 15 years back to the last time anything good happened. 15 years. But you're a program that's been used by bad management, bad leadership, bad booster decisions, bad sponsor decisions, and now hopefully you're going to rebuild. Because that's what you got to do. You got to put yourself back on a pedestal of people trusting the program. And that's kind of the problem here. You got to think to yourself, there's a reason why Kiffin took LSU and didn't take Florida. Money's the same. Athletic program, Florida's just as good, if not better. Why did he take LSU over Florida? These are the questions you've got to start asking yourself. These are the questions we're going to examine in the weeks and months to come. But at least for the moment, things tap down. Let's watch and see what happens from here. I'm not going to predict. Not this time. The only thing I'm going to say is I hope Ole Miss contends for the national championship. See, but then Kiffin will come back and say, see what I left you? I left you a national champion. Yeah, and you bailed out before the biggest games of the year, you turd.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.